Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Today's episode is a special one because I have my husband and life partner, Kelvin, on the podcast, and my daughter, Lauren, producing for the show. So I have two of my best friends on, and it is a special episode. Kelvin and I have been married for 25 years, together for 28. And a few years ago, we passed that threshold of having spent more of our life together than apart. And through that, we have learned some lessons that I really wanted a chance to explore with him as a part of this 25th anniversary year. And I wanted to get a chance for me and you all to learn from his perspective from so many roles that he has as a believer, as a husband, as a father, as a leader in ministry and at work, as a friend, an engineer, and someone who has pursued some hobbies for a lifetime. And that's what this episode is about. We're going to do this in two parts, but this episode is about hobbies, some he's pursued for a lifetime, and what he's gained from them. And I know in my life, there was a time when I only made space for work, Kelvin and Lauren, and a couple of church activities, and that was it. Anything else that came in my life, outside of close family things, was a no. And I certainly wasn't exploring or looking for other things to do. I was just exclusively focused on really the things I felt I needed to do, my responsibilities, and invested relatively little in the things that brought me just pure, pleasure. And I remember being at work one time and a friend of mine worked out consistently. And I was telling her I really wanted to do that as well, but I didn't have time. And she was saying, well, when will you have the time? And I remember telling her when my daughter was in high school, I would have the time. And at the time she was 3. So she was like, what are you talking about, high school? But that was the mindset that I had at that time. But recently I've had a chance to rethink that, to breathe. And I really think I could have done it differently. I could have made more space, or at least some space, for the things I enjoy in life. And that's not to say I didn't enjoy my life at the time, because I did, but I could have enjoyed it more. I could have taken a bit more of a balanced, relaxed approach. I could have been a better example of that to my family and others. I could have operated with more peace, been a little bit more relaxed. So I think of this episode as a chance for all of us to rethink how we're approaching the things that we enjoy. And it's linked to chapter 10 of my book, which is called They Are Waiting on You. And in that chapter, I talk about how seeing other people do things they love and, invest fully in their life is inspirational. And how Kelvin had inspired me to do some things based on his passions and investing in his hobbies, and how other people are waiting on you as well. So I'm excited. He's agreed to join me on the podcast. I'm excited for you all to hear this conversation because I think it's an important one for all of us as we rethink what can we do to enjoy our lives even more. So I hope you love this conversation. I know I did. Enjoy.
Now available. You deserve to love your job. How to find your purpose and enjoy your life. You may not have learned this growing up, but you deserve to love your job. You will spend more time at work than in any other activity in your life, and you deserve to love it. Research tells us that people who love their work are twice as likely to enjoy their life. This book will help you create a blueprint to help you fulfill your purpose, love your job, and live the life you were designed to live. Now available at Amazon.
Well, Kelvin, Mr. Green, honey, thank you for joining today's podcast. I honestly was surprised you said yes, and I'm excited about it. So thank you for being here. How are you feeling about doing this podcast?
I'm feeling okay. Excited.
Excited?
Yeah, my first podcast.
Okay, good. Well, I'm excited we get to discuss this topic. One, because there's a lot of research on the benefits of hobbies to our lives, which I might get into some of that when we get into the discussion, but also because I have several friends, I think just the stages of life that we're all in. I have several friends who are either exploring hobbies, looking for hobbies, thinking about finding a hobby. And I feel like that's something we can learn from you because you've invested in hobbies. You have been pretty consistent on finding joy through hobbies. So I'm looking forward to learning what I can from this conversation. I think I already know a lot, but I'm expected to learn something too. So thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Mhm. Well, so I was looking at some research from Utah State University, and her name is Emma Parkhurst. And she said she did research on the benefits of hobbies to our life. And she defined a hobby as an activity that can be done regularly during spare or leisure time for pleasure or joy. So that could be something creative, athletic, academic. It could be, going to dinner with friends. Like basically, she said it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's something that you're voluntarily doing and is something that brings you joy. And we'll get into some of the benefits of that later, but maybe just start by telling everyone, like, what would you consider your hobbies? What are your hobbies right now?
Yeah, I think my hobbies, probably three of them, in different facets of the three, probably hunting, fishing, and cooking. I've done and continue to do all those three things right now, but I do different things with them. Like, for example, hunting. I've hunted using bow and arrow, archery. I've hunted or actually had passion in doing long range shooting for hunting, and actually I've backpacked, which is pretty interesting, into hunting. So I've done all those few things with hunting, spent a lot of time researching and actually accomplishing some of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking maybe we can post as a part of that picture. I think about the picture of you backpacking in with all the equipment and those cute little llamas, and like, I don't know, how far in were you went that time?
We went in. It was 4.5 miles in. We got there that we didn't have any cell phone coverage, so we were out in the wilderness. We were planning to stay, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, but luckily we got what we needed to do in about 2 days. So the rest of the trip was just hanging out with the llamas.
Oh, yeah. I now I'm remembering that because I was a little freaked out because I couldn't contact you for so many days. It's like, I guess you're okay up there in those mountains, but yeah, so 4.5 miles in. Okay, so hunting, fishing, cooking. How did you first get interested in those? So, hunting, fishing, or cooking, like, how did you get interested in those?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I really think the basis for those things were instilled in me as a child. It was something that I kind of always talked about with my grandfather. We spent time talking about hunting, fishing, and actually cooking. We probably fish more than we hunt or cook together, but we just I spent countless time listening to him tell stories. So I always wanted to do those things and take it to the next level. So probably something that was ingrained in me from a child.
Mm-hmm. And what do you enjoy about them? And it might be different things for different hobbies. I have my own idea about this, but like, what is it you enjoy about those things?
I like the activities, but I think I like the sense of accomplishment from taking a concept or an idea, planning it out, and fully executing. Now, like, for example, the backpacking. I hunt, and I was trying to figure out a better way to actually harvest a bull elk. And so I'm looking at YouTube, and I see some guys with the idea of taking some llamas into the backcountry. So, in the backcountry, being out there remote, obviously it's a lot of gear that you have to take in. So, looked at the llamas. I saw some guys using goats. And then, you look at the benefits or pros and cons from using horses. The llama was something that you could do yourself. They didn't need a lot of care in camp. So I started researching, learning about llamas, looking for outfitters that would rent llamas, and planned a trip. I'm using Google Earth to map out my path there, looking at all the trails that we would take, and then planning this with a buddy. So we planned. He lived in a different state. We did some conferences where we looked at the Google Earth, and we planned the trip out. And pretty much everything went as planned. I got up there. We packed in on a Saturday, actually a Friday. Hunted on a Sunday, and I hunted on a Saturday. and actually killed or harvested an elk the next morning. So everything worked perfect. A lot of people couldn't believe we did it, but we did it, and we had a ball.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like in that part of it's like the mastery of something. And I think I've seen that with fishing for sure. Everyone knows your cooking is amazing. Like that's known, by the way, and for the audience, that's known in our area. But I think part of it seems like it's the mastery of something.
It is the mastering, and like you said, cooking. You have a goal and you want to do something. Like cooking, I wanted to compete in a competition. So we did this. We doing some cooking and doing a lot of test batch and whatever. And actually did one competition. Probably I'll do another, but ended up for the first time in first competition placed I think fourth in chicken and third in ribs. So yeah, it's the idea of taking a concept and then mastering that art and then moving on to something else.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess most of these hobbies, though not all, maybe are. I guess part of it's also a camaraderie. Like for most of these, you have a group of people or friends that enjoy that with you, but maybe not all. Is it the aloneness or is it togetherness? Because you do a little bit of both, it seems like.
It's the activity, but I think a good part of it is the fellowship or the camaraderie, doing it with some people. I think one of the best times I had, and I always say that, I cooked with one of the elders from the church in that competition. And I always go back to, man, we had so much fun doing that and whatever, that you always talk about doing it again. I've met lifelong friends hunting and fishing and whatnot. So yeah, it's a sense of accomplishment, but also doing it together. When you work with someone and they have the passion for the same hobby and you guys are talking about it, you're looking for different ways, and that person comes up with a better idea and you learn something and you share data. It's just fun to work with someone working on that has the same passion for the hobby that you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. How do you think they benefit you? So like one way could be the social connection. Like you said, you've met a lot of great people, or maybe you've deepened relationships by doing this hobby with other people. Like, are there other ways that you think it benefits you? Like there's some research that talks about benefits to mental health, or I don't know, are there other benefits you get from kind of doing these things?
Well, like I said, I think the big thing is the sense of accomplishment, but I also think the fact of, figuring out something and actually putting a plan together and executing, it's a challenge. And I think it keeps your mind strong. But yeah, I think that the biggest accomplishment or benefit for me is just a sense of accomplishment from taking a concept all the way to finish and executing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I'm wondering, so I'll share kind of what research says are some other benefits. I'm curious if these are any of yours as well. So one is reduce stress. Another is enhance well-being, meaning people just, feel like they have greater well-being, like feel better about their lives in general when they have hobbies. Improve social connection, which one you mentioned, not this one you mentioned. Also decreases in depression and anxiety. And that's specifically if you're doing ones with other people. So if you're doing things with other people, you have social connection, which decreases your depression and anxiety. And then improve mental health. And they said that's especially for activities that have physical components. So all of those really, hunting, fishing, cooking, like have some physical component to it. I think if you're cooking outside. And so the physical helps with reducing stress. And they said if you do that physical thing outside, just 10 minutes in nature can lead to improved mood, improved focus, and just overall well-being. There's kind of this being active outside factor as well. And so I don't know, when you're outside, do you feel more at peace? Do you feel less stressed? Do you feel any of that? Or are you kind of focused on the doing of it? Or do you feel this relaxation of being outside?
Actually, hunting. And I've started going, like when I talk about bull elk or mule deer, I've started going to Colorado. And, those are, week-long trips per se. But just going into seeing the scenery in Colorado, being up on the mountains, sometimes seeing the snow, and just being in that environment, it's really, really relaxing. So I do enjoy going that almost to the point where I don't enjoy the hunting here in Texas as much as I do as going out west, just because it's a different scenery. And then like the other part of it too is just a camaraderie. I'm hunting with friends. When I go out west, I hunt with friends that I haven't seen in maybe 2 or 3 years. So just being able to catch up and spend time with them, the fellowship before the hunt. We get up and do breakfast. We all go and hunt during the day, and then we come back and we have another family style meal at night. So I love the scenery. It's relaxing. And then the camaraderie and fellowship is awesome.
Yeah, I can see that. Are there any downsides to hobbies? Like, what do you do you see any downsides to hobbies?
Yeah, there's some downsides a little bit. One, depending on your hobby, you can spend a lot of money, but you don't have to. So that you can go in as deep as you want or as little as you want. The other part of sometimes trying to master the art or that task, you can spend a lot of time on that particular hobby. Sometimes YouTube is a great thing, and you can learn a lot about your passion, your hobby from YouTube, books. So you can spend a lot of time. I think sometimes, like you said, mastering that hobby, sometimes I'll get tunnel vision for that particular hobby, learning. And then after you get to where you kind of pull back from it, but it can be an obsession at some point.
Would you describe it that way?
Would you call it an obsession at some point?
I don't know. I don't know how. Perhaps an obsession. I was thinking about how many videos. I feel like I'm pretty good at those. One of the videos where you use the pool noodles to catch a fish.
Oh, yeah, I don't make jugs to catch catfish.
Oh, I feel like I'm a pretty good expert at that already, just from being next to you watching those videos. So okay, so let me ask you this kind of last question. I just want to hear any final thoughts you have. I have as I mentioned, I have several friends who are trying to find hobbies, exploring hobbies. Any advice you give people on either how to start or how do you carve out the time for it? Like if someone said they wanted to start a hobby, like what advice would you give them if they said they want to, find something they enjoy doing that's not connected to work or some responsibility, just something they enjoy? What would you tell them?
I tell them, look around. There's a lot of good things and bad things on YouTube, but look around, find something you like, and then look for a local group or look for people doing that thing. But the big thing I would say with a hobby is don't go into it too fast, meaning that from the financial point, you can start slow. I've seen where a lot of people get into new hobbies, they invest a lot of money, and then later on they find out that they don't like that hobby and they've wasted a lot of money. So go in slow, buy some equipment if you need to, research, look around, find people in your area doing the same thing. And a lot of times with hobbies, the good thing about it is that people have a passion for what they do. So if you're interested in there doing that same thing, those people are going to pour into you. They're going to give you advice. They're going to tell you what to do, what not to do. So you can learn a lot from them, But I would say find something you like, try it, start slow, and if you really love it, then build on it. I know we have some friends that bike, and I know you. I don't know. I guess you could probably pay tens of thousands of dollars for a bike. I would tell somebody that if they were trying to start out biking, start out slow. You could probably ask around, find a good beginner bike. Learn from them, and in a couple months or a year or so, you're really your passion, then slowly build up with the gear. There's a lot of people that can get a lot of good gear by beginners, not buying from beginners that just buy the top of the line and decide they didn't like the hobby and whatnot. Now they're getting out at whatever at a good price and whatnot.
Yeah, that's true. That's how I got my treadmill. So, okay, awesome. Okay, well, last thing, before we do, any final thoughts, I guess, on hobbies? And then I want to do what's called the lightning round. I think I mentioned this to you. I hope I did. But I'm going to ask you just a few questions so people can get to know you better. And I'm just looking for quick answers to it.
No, I'll say, and again, and you know what, even before Facebook came around, I spent a lot of times on the internet. There are forums where any hobby that you have where you can actually go on there and just learn about that particular hobby. And if I compared groups on the internet to some of the forums that I joined, I probably get to 10 times the amount of information or good information from the forums than trying to pick up on the internet on Facebook. Not saying that Facebook's bad, but you get a lot of beginners on Facebook. When you go to the forums, you get an understanding of the people there, how long they've been there. And again, you got a lot of people there that want to pour into you and give you advice.
Okay. So, and from just watching you do it, forums are like specific websites for a specific topic. Like there's a long range hunting forum where everybody on there is like, well, not everybody, but there are a lot of people on there that are super into that hobby. And so people are all levels, but people are posting questions and answers and engaging, but it's more focused than what you might find like on social media.
Yeah, that's a good topic. That's good. Yeah, like there's two forums I'll talk about. Like I had a passion for building a big smoker. Well, there's a site dedicated to just building or cloning this particular smoker. I got on there, asked a lot of questions. I actually put my design out there. People gave me directions. No, you want to do this. No, you want to do that. This is too big. This is too small. And this will help you out. And, I saved a lot of time, saved a lot of money. And from that, I was actually able to take those designs, have a buddy that's a welder, and actually create that smoker for me. So that's an example of a forum where people like mine trying to do the exact same thing with a lot of experience helping me out and saving me money.
Yeah, I can see that. And when you like something, you like it, you like talking about it. Like people I think they like helping beginners, they like helping people who are interested in it because it's what you enjoy. So you enjoy experiencing it, but you also get enjoyment from helping other people. So I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I actually do it, and you see me do it in the stores. I'm in Cabela's, and the person's trying to make a decision on what type of ammo to buy or what type of gun to buy, and I'm pulling them to the side and having this conversation, pointing to them some of the mistakes that I've made or giving them some advice. So yeah, we do like helping people in our hobby.
I think that's a great idea. Okay, well, thank you. Okay, so let's do the lightning round before I kind of let you go, before we transition to topic 2. Okay, so first question, just short, quick answers. What is one thing that helped you figure out what you wanted to do for a career? Like what helps you figure out that engineering was something you were interested in?
Well, I think it was something that I enjoyed, and it was a subject that I enjoyed. I enjoyed math, I enjoyed science, so I kind of went towards engineering just because I liked math and science.
Okay. What is a leadership principle or leadership lesson you learned? Like in terms of you've led a lot of teams, and what's a leadership principle or leadership lesson you've learned?
I think you have to really care for the people that work for you. I mean, genuinely care for them. And I think that really comes more from being in the military, starting off as a junior officer, working with a division. We were taught that you're responsible for your people at work, but you're also responsible for their well-being as well. Counseling, giving direction. So I think a lot of places that I've tried and the people that work for me, I've always cared for them and beyond just work and whatnot. I think really people show that you care for them. They'll work and we'll work together great as a team.
Yeah, I bet some people be surprised to hear that's a principle of military leadership, because I think people have stereotypes about military leadership, but I know, even when we were dating and you had that team, you were leading that group, I saw that. Like, it's not just the work, it's someone's whole life. And I think that's something not everyone would recognize about that's expected of military leaders that maybe in business and corporate, people don't really get as much. So, yeah. And the last question, what is a word of wisdom or piece of advice you live by?
I guess it's a simple one, but I mean, treat others how you want to be treated. So you can look at that in every situation and figure out, how would you want to be treated, and you think about that. I think you'll do just fine.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you for joining. I so appreciate it. I'm excited you came. So, for the audience sake, you can find Kelvin on LinkedIn. We'll put the link there, and you can find me on Instagram at Arlene_Pace_Green. Thank you all so much for joining. Find a hobby. Let me know how you find it. Let me know what you're doing, and be well.